Hi, everyone. Anne O'Connell from OC Publishing here, and we're continuing our celebration of indie authors today. Very exciting. Every day this week, 4 p.m., we're having our tea party, and today my tea is being drunk from a Maud Lewis mug. We're very excited this week to hear that our Maud Lewis from Nova Scotia, her paintings are going to be featured on the Canadian stamp. So I'm very excited about that. But even more excited today to be featuring memoirs. So I have two authors, OC Publishing authors, who have published memoirs with me. And one that I will be featuring today is Montaha Hidefi, and her book is Groping for Truth, My Uphill Struggle for Respect. And the other one is Rachel Boehm's I Am Not. It's very interesting memoir. I'll talk a little bit about this after. But I have very exciting news today. Montaha Hidefi has joined us for our tea party today. So she's going to be joining us in just a minute. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about her book, and then I'll bring her to join me to do a couple of readings, and you can meet her face to face if you haven't already. So we're excited about that. Montaha Hidefi's Groping for Truth, My Uphill Struggle for Respect, is a gripping Me Too movement-inspired memoir that recaps the staggering story of sexual harassment and violence she endured throughout her life. The abuse began at the hands of her own mother and people from her community, and then followed her around the globe. The author's pain is palpable as she recollects the roller coaster of emotions of a childhood shattered by physical abuse and mental manipulation, and decades of unwelcome sexual advances, groping and assault, even attempted murder. She shares her journey of grappling with the pain and internal demons that resulted in phobias and rebellion against old traditions. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to bring Montaha to join us because she will share a little bit more and read from her book. Welcome, Montaha. Very excited to have you here. There you are. Look at that beautiful smile.
Hi, Anne, and hi, everyone. First of all, Ching Ching, I'm having my high tea with my Bango cup today,
Mm,
all the way from Amsterdam.
yes, and what flavor of tea do you like to drink?
I'm drinking right now super ginger. I usually drink green tea,
Hmm.
especially from Japan. But in the afternoon, if I drink strong tea, then I have trouble sleeping at night. So
Oh,
the ginger would calm me down.
oh, that's awesome. Well, I do. Mine is a green tea chai, which was a blend that I hadn't seen before. Well, please welcome to our tea party, Monty, and I'm so happy that you were able to join us today. So I'm going to hand everybody over to you to share a little bit about your story and do a couple of readings.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Uh, I'm fortunate to have you, first of all, as my co-publisher, and those who know me and who know the book know that I always mention you. And it's unbelievable. It's been 23 months since we published the book. So
Wow,
next month, on the 6th of December, it's the second anniversary. I can't believe how the times went by.
time flies.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned in your intro about the book, so the book is a memoir and it's related to difficulties that I went through in my life. And I have finally had the courage of telling my story in writing and publish it and put it out there. So, today, for the sake of this short reading, I have picked some passages from the epilogue, which is the end part of the book. And the reason why I picked from the epilogue is because it's a little bit more cheerful than reading from the beginning, where it's much more difficult and it tells the stories about my struggle with abuse and with all things I went through. So I'm going to start reading, and that's the beginning of the epilogue. A person once told me that there were two types of injuries: physical traumas caused by physical forces that leave visible scars on the body, and psychological traumas resulting from distressing events exceeding our ability to cope. The latter, accompanied most often with high doses of emotional devastation, produce invisible wounds that bleed in our psyche. As others are unaware of psychological injuries unless we openly speak about them, the trauma permeates, becomes debilitating, and eventually defeats us, while to others we might look healthy and happy. As I reflected on this impression, I recognized the emotional impact, the mental and physical abuse I had suffered at the hands of so many had over my life, the way it bent my conduct and fractured my persona as I was becoming an adult. For most of my life, I cultivated an identity crisis and did not fit in any social order. Throughout my childhood, although I was Venezuelan by birth, due to my family background, I was termed Musiwa and Turka in my own country. In Syria, the land of my ancestors, I was referred to as Ajnabiya, foreigner, because it was not my birth country. In my early years in Canada and until I became a citizen, I was a landed immigrant. Later in Dubai, I was an expat, while in the Netherlands, I was transformed into highly skilled migrant. Somehow, I had been an immigrant my entire life, a green bird that landed from another planet. While, while societies and governments rarely pay attention to the destructive mental power these distinctive social statuses confer over a human being, it is critical to highlight the profound ways in which they touch us. As I lived regularly, being considered not from here, it was impossible to have a sense of belonging to a specific nation or be comfortable among a specific culture. It wasn't until recently that I had identified with citizen of the world. After 5 decades of being denied the sense of geographical belonging, citizen of the world gave me a harmonious awareness of fitting in. I came to the realization that instead of being accepted by a single nation, the world, however ordinary, became my country. Moving on to the last part, I believe that when armed with determination, we can reverse the profound effects of any negative event by channeling our energy and transforming it into a roaring engine to empower our future. I found out that the best defense to defeat an adversary was to outrun its capabilities. Each time I faced a round of misconduct, I came out of it emotionally crushed, but intensely more resilient, equipped with more strength and disposition to face the next one. As I look back into my life, I am certain the abuse was a catalyst that allowed me to unlock all possible gates to accomplish success. My tenacity to improve the mental image mother and society had created of me pushed me to seek education and knowledge to uncover and expose the person that I perceived me to be deep inside. With perseverance and visualization, I bettered myself and attained goals beyond expectations. I spoke 5 languages. I obtained 3 master's degrees from 3 different universities. I fulfilled senior positions at multinationals in various countries. I got immersed in the discipline of color trend and forecasting. I had spoken publicly at international events. I had translated and published a book while in my late 20s, authored numerous articles published around the world, and co authored chapters in 2 books. I had been to 57 countries. I trained in Reiki. I progressed with Silver Mind levels 1, 2, and 3. As a culmination, I even walked on fire, all to overcome defeat and prove I could be the master of my own life.
Thank you so much, Montaha. That is just every time I hear or read from your book or hear you read from it, I get goosebumps. Um, I wanted to ask you just another question before I let you go. What was it that made you want to write your book and publish it and get your story out to the world?
That's a very interesting question, Anne, and I got it all the time. Basically, I always wanted to tell my story, but I was too scared of telling my story. I was even scared of sharing it with my closest friends or even with my sisters or even with family members. Because, we always have this fear of being stigmatized if we talk about something that happened to us, especially when it comes to physical abuse. If you've been hit by someone at your house or by your spouse or by whoever, society tends to think that we are the instigators, especially when it's a woman.
Mhm,
So society thinks if you did not really instigate this, this wouldn't have happened to you. And that was one of the main reasons, I suppose, not only me, but a lot of people just keep those traumatizing moments inside and you don't speak about them. But then with the Me Too movement in 2000, in late 2000, 2017, in October specifically, when it came out and it became really noisy and everybody started talking about it, and a lot of females and famous people and unfamous people as well started coming out and talking about their situations. Basically, that stimulated me to think about it.
mhm.
And then I discussed with some of my closest friends and with my husband, and they all encouraged me to write. And as you know, I also got in touch with you and exposed the idea, and you also encouraged me a lot. So I had a lot of encouragement from many people, and it wasn't easy at all. During the writing, it wasn't easy. During the publishing, it was even more difficult.
Mhm.
I mean, post publishing, if you remember last year, we talked about the post publishing syndrome
Yeah.
and the fear of the author about those difficult and sensitive topics because we don't know what and how people are going to react. So that always basically create this anxiety and this fear.
Mhm.
I was very fortunate that I have overcame those anxiety moments. Obviously now I have had anxiety, but for other reasons, like everybody else, right? During the pandemic, but that's a different situation. And like I said at the beginning, I can't believe it's already 23 months since we published, and next month we will be uh, I don't know. It's not going to be a festive, but we are going to commemorate the second year probably with another live event like this one, and maybe some reading. I would have wished that we would be able to
Person.
have like an in-person event, but that's definitely not going to happen.
Well, let's put our minds together and do something to celebrate that anniversary because it was I know such a difficult process for you and absolutely when you contacted me I didn't even hesitate for a second that if you wanted to get this story out that I was more than willing and eager to help you get that message out. So we just need to keep plugging away, and like you said, you always say to me, if I can reach one person and help one person with my story to come out and to take a stand and to to say, no more, then it's been worth it. So the more we can get that word out. So again, it's Montaha Hidefi's Groping for Truth, My Uphill Struggle for Respect. And it's available on all online bookstores. And or if you can go into your local bookstore and ask them to order it in for you. Montaha, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to say goodbye and then talk a little bit about Rachel's book. And we'll make sure people know that we'll be seeing you really soon.
Okay, thank you again, and chin chin again. I love
Chin,
you all.
love you. Thank
Have a
you for
nice afternoon.
thanks for joining the tea party. We'll talk to you soon. And that was Montaha Hidefi reading some of the uplifting parts of her book. As she expressed, it was a hard slog to write it and little anxiety producing to publish it. But I encourage you to get a copy and read about her experiences and just show your support of indie authors. So before we go, I also want to give a shout out to Rachel Boehm in her memoir, I Am Not, which was just published this year. She would love to have joined us, but she's at work. But I want to read an excerpt from her book on her behalf. Her book is about it's a bullying message. She was bullied as a child. She developed an eating disorder or disordered eating situation. She grappled with that for many years, and this book shows some scenarios and excerpts from her life, but also has an inspirational and uplifting message as well. This is one of the more difficult scenarios that she writes about, and it's basically the time that she realized that she may have a disordered eating or an unhealthy relationship with food is one of the ways she puts it. And I think you can probably see this picture in the book. This is what at her lowest weight, and she's traveling with some friends. And this chapter begins, Rachel, you look like someone who escaped Auschwitz. I'm horrified. I'm dumbfounded. I'm not only speechless, I'm thoughtless. I stand stoic. She continues, are you naturally that thin? Yes. I believe me. I can't tell if she believes me. I don't care. No one at home would ever have said something like that. I'm offended. Defensive. I'm beautiful. I'm finally thin. I can finally shop at the Gap and Abercrombie and J. Crew. Finally, every time I try on clothes, everything fits. The ribbed fabrics lay flat. There are no rolls, no bumps, no muffin tops or muffin crumbs. Barely any extra fat remains. What is that anyway? Why does it exist? I have arrived at thin the way pilgrims arrive at Mecca, and I don't care what you think. I do care that everywhere I go in your country, I'm up against food. Like, seriously, everywhere. Food and truck and drink and food. I mean, I guess I should have known, but I didn't. I didn't realize the true pervasiveness of your beer and brats. Not until I arrived and faced it. There's fatty, bad food everywhere I go. I'll be damned if I'm letting one summer study program in Prague thwart my work. I grocery shop by picture, hours spent trying to tell the difference between turkey and ham, non fat and full fat, and low fat in a language I don't have any connection to. Then lugging the groceries back to my apartment in the outskirts. It's exhausting but necessary. I will not go back to the body I was. I cannot wait to get to Dubai and Damascus, where I have people who can help me avoid all this stuff. What's not in English is in Arabic, and I have translators. So that's the chapter where she has lost a lot of weight after being a chubby child, and she has swung back to another extreme. But if you want to learn more, read more about Rachel's overcoming some bullying as a child, disordered eating to become the successful woman that she's today, please support her and all indie authors. Buy their books, do reviews, and keep enjoying the process. We're celebrating indie authors this week. Saturday is National Indie Authors Day. And if anybody leaves a comment not only live, but anytime during the week on any of the videos that we're posting this week. We'll put you in a draw to win an OC Publishing title of your choice. So that'll be those drawings will be done Saturday morning at 10 Atlantic time. And until then, grab a cup of tea, warm your hands. Here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, we had our first snowstorm, so we're trying to keep warm and cozy. Thank you, Montaha, for joining us today, and thank you, Rachel, for letting me highlight your book and for trusting OC Publishing to get your your story out. So we're we're here and looking forward to tomorrow, where we're actually going to be focusing on mystery. So I'm going to read a couple of excerpts from my novels, Cozy Mysteries, and then Friday we'll highlight an author who writes a Bible story series for children. His first chapter book, Cindy Tingley's Lily's Secret and Lily's Desert Adventure, will feature Friday. And until then, take care and stay healthy and safe. So we'll see you soon. Bye for now.